class, Instructor Asbury here. I'm going to go over another scenario or diagnostic statement for coding residual and cause. So let's look at the diagnostic statement, keloid scar due to a burn to the lower back years ago. So if we saw this on our chart, let's figure out how we're going to code it. So the first thing we're going to want to ask ourselves is, what is the residual condition? A late effect is the residual condition or the condition produced. So you can think of as a residual condition as a condition that has been produced. And this is produced after the acute phase of that illness or injury has terminated. That residual condition can be apparent really early on, such as for people that have cerebrovascular accidents, or it could occur months or years later, such as when someone has an injury or something like that. So let's work on coding the residual condition. So in this diagnostic statement, what would you say the residual condition is? Keloid scar due to a burn to the lower back years ago. What's the condition that's produced? If you said keloid scar, you are correct. So our residual condition is the keloid scar, and the cause is the burn to the lower back years ago. So we'll start with coding that keloid scar or that residual condition. The next thing we want to ask ourselves is, what is the main term? We have keloid scar. And I like to say for the main term, and a lot of times this works, is I went to the doctor today because. So for keloid scar, if you said, I went to the doctor today because I have a scar, that makes sense. But if you said, I went to the doctor today because I have a keloid, that's not giving me enough information about what's wrong. So our main term in keloid scar is scar. And remember, a main term will be conditions such as fever, cough, infections, fractures, and they're found in red letters in your ICD-10 code book. So let's look up this residual condition, keloid scar, with the main term scar. We will want to start in the alphabetic index. The alphabetic index is in alphabetical order, and we're going to want to look up the term scar, the main term scar. Now, if you have your book tabbed, it's going to be much faster, and those minutes over 18 or 20 questions are going to make a big difference. So let's find scar. And here it is on page 406 here, scar. So we had a subterm of keloid. So our residual condition we're trying to code is keloid scar. We go to the main term scar, and then we look for the subterm keloid. And remember, those subterms are indented after your main term, and they're in alphabetical order. So keloid is L91.0. Now we never stop here in the alphabetic index. We always want to go back to the tabular to verify our code. And remember, the tabular is in the back of your book, and it is in numbers. So we're going to want to go to L91.0. So here on page 983 in my book, now it may be a little different in yours, we see the category level, L91. It's got a little red stop sign beside of it that tells us that not to stop here, that there is going to be more. That's an incomplete code. And then listed underneath that, we see L91.0 Keloid Scar. And that's exactly what we're trying to code. And there's nothing out from that code to look up, no red stop sign. So we're going to go with L91 for keloid scar. Now the second part of that diagnosis was due to a previous burn to the lower back. So let's go back to our alphabetic index and look up the main term. What is the main term for that? A previous burn to the lower back. I went to the doctor today because of a burn. So let's look up burn in your alphabetic index, and here it is on page 130, burn. And where is that burn? We're going to look for our subterms. Remember, a subterm is going to give you more information about that main term. If I said that I had a red truck, the main term would be truck and my subterm would be red. It's giving me more information about that truck. So apply that to coding, and we have a burn. And more information about that burn is that it is to the lower back. So let's look up in alphabetical order back, and in parentheses we see lower, and it's T21.04. So the cause is burn to the lower back, and that code in the alphabetic index is T21.04. So let's verify that back in our tabular, because so far we're telling the insurance company that this patient has a burn to their lower back now. Now we know that it was previous, it's not right now. So T21.04 here on page 1410, we see T21.04, and that says burn of unspecified degree. We don't know the degree of the lower back. Out from this code we see an X and a stop sign. What does that X mean? We can look down here at the bottom, the legend. Ooh, let me see if I can get down there to it. And it tells us that that X means that we need to assign a placeholder X and that we need additional characters to complete that code. So we'll go back up to the category level. Remember, the category level is the 3 characters, and see if we have any instructions there. We have includes and excludes to instructions, but we also see this box that says the appropriate 7th character is to be added to each code from the T21 category. So A is for the initial encounter, D is for a subsequent encounter, and S is for the sequela. Now we know that the sequela means that it's something that happened in the past. So that's how we're going to tell the insurance company that this isn't a current burn. And we need to use the placeholder X, so that will be in the 7th character spot, because there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 characters in T21.4. So we're going to go T21.04 with the placeholder X and the S for the sequela. So let's write that down. That's your cause. Oh, that's the wrong thing. For your cause, T21.04, and we have the placeholder X, and we have the S to tell the insurance company that it is a previous. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, because we didn't have a sixth, we put an X, 7 for the 7th character extension. So to completely code your diagnostic statement, we're going to have the L91.0 for the keloid scar, and we're going to have T21.04XS for the burn that happened years ago to the lower back. If you have any questions, just give me a call, a text, or an email. Thanks.